Okay. So please write the question. And then we'll come to the point. Mr. Kumar. Mr. Kumar saves or invests. Mr. Kumar invests rupees. Mr. Kumar invests rupees 6,000 for 8 years. Mr. Kumar invests rupees 6,000 for 8 years at 5% per annum. 5% per annum CI compounded annually. 5% per annum CI compounded annually. Full stop. Find the maturity value. Find the maturity value. I repeat, Mr. Kumar invested rupees 6,000 for 8 years at 5% per annum CI compounded annually. Full stop. Find the maturity value. Full stop. Right on the next question. Mr. Kumar invested rupees 6,000. Mr. Kumar invested rupees 6,000 every year. Mr. Kumar invested rupees 6,000 every year for 8 years. Every year for 8 years at 6% per annum CI compounded annually. 6% per annum CI compounded annually. Full stop. Find the maturity value. Find the maturity value. Now, if you see the wording of both the questions, it's the same figures I have taken: 6,000, 8 years, 6%. And even what I have asked you is also the same. I have asked you to find the maturity value, isn't it? Fine. So what is the difference between the two questions? This is what we need to understand. And that is the reason I had not given you the name of the topic. I wanted you to understand the difference between the two questions. Else I would have given you the name of the topic, which I want you to understand now. What is the difference? The difference between the two questions is, in the first question, the deposit have been made only once. That you deposited rupees 6,000 only once for 8 years. Whereas in second question, the deposit is getting made more than once. It's getting done more than once. That is 6,000, 6,000, 6,000, 6,000 every year for 8 years. So what is my total deposit into the first year? It is only 6,000. Whereas in second year, my total deposit is 48,000. 6,000 into 8 times. So it's 48,000. And then I'm asking you to find the maturity value. So, but obvious, your answer should be more than 48,000, isn't it? My answer should be more than 48,000, because 48,000 is the principal amount which I have deposited over the period of 8 years. Whereas in the first question, my amount or the maturity value will be more than 6,000. It will be more than 6,000. Whereas in the second case, it will be more than 48,000. Fine. So whenever the deposit is made more than once, whenever the deposit is made more than once at a regular interval, again, I'm talking to the regular interval, means that regular interval is nothing but it can be yearly, it can be half yearly, it can be quarterly, and it can be monthly as well. Fine. So whenever the deposit is made more than once, then it is called as annuity. It is called as annuity. ANNUITY. I repeat, it is called as annuity. Fine. So if I take it this way, almost all parents have a recurring deposit account into the bank. What are the different kind of accounts? Saving account, current account, recurring account, fixed deposit account. So what is recurring deposit account? What do you mean by recurring? Recurring means something which is happening at the regular interval, isn't it? If you know timetable is recurring, that after every 40 minutes the lecture is going to get over, and at next time 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock the lecture is going to start. So it is a recurring process. So in the same way, when I'm talking about the depositing of the money into the bank, fine, something which is taking place more than once in this account, that is nothing but the recurring account. So what we do, if you ask your parent, so dad, what is the recurring deposit account? What answer he is going to give you is that I have to deposit fixed sum of money. I have to deposit fixed sum of money into the bank every month. It's not with respect to the annuity. I'm trying to make you understand what annuity means. That in a recurring deposit account, a fixed sum of money has to be deposited into the bank every month. Fine. And what we earn is the interest. What we earn is the interest on those money. That is, which have been getting deposited every month for a for a specific time period, and that time period is to be decided by us. For example, the question what I gave you, that is, I'm depositing 6,000 every month, every year. For how many years? 8 years. So time period I have decided 8 years. How much money is to be deposited? That also I have decided. But the rate of interest will be offered by the bank, and the bank will disclose you well in advance. Whenever you are going to make the deposit into the bank will tell you, okay, this is the rate of interest I am going to give you. Fine. So the maturity value, what I am going to get at the end of the time period, what will it include? The maturity value will include the total money deposited plus the interest also. So in the second part, the total money that I am depositing is how much? It's 6,000 into 8, that is 48,000. The total money that I'm depositing is 6,000 every year for 8 years. So total money deposited by me is 48,000. And along with that, I'm going to get the interest also, which I have earned over the period of 8 years. Right? Now, how it works? Let's take, I started making the deposit into year 2012. I started making the deposit in year 2012. So the first deposit of year 2012 of 6,000, on that money, I'm going to get interest for how many years? 8 years. The first deposit which I have made, on that money, I'm going to get the interest for 8 years. And that too, I'm going to get the compound interest, because rate of interest is 6% per annum CI compounded annually. In the year 2013, whatever deposit that I would have made on that money, I'm going to get the interest for how many years? 7 years. Next deposit, I'll be getting the interest for 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. And finally, in year 2020, whatever money that I deposit into the beginning of the year, on that money, I'm going to get the interest for only 1 year. Isn't it? In short, I have to go for the calculation how many times, as many times what the value of n is. 8 years, once I have to calculate the interest for 8 years, then 7 years, then 6 years, then 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Fine. But don't you think the process would be too lengthy? How many times? If I give you 120, 12 years or 15 years, that would be a tough task, isn't it? So there is a formula, and basically I'm talking about the chapter. That chapter is now, I repeat, it is called as annuity. Fine. So that was a platform which I had created to make you understand. So I'm discussing basically annuity. So write down the definition of the annuity. It's important because internal exams, even the definitions can be asked. Fine. So what that definition is? The series of payments made at the successive intervals of time. Series of payments made at the successive interval of time is called as annuity. Fine. Now there is something more. Because I'm talking about the terms, all the keywords I'm talking, because these keywords can be asked for your C1 as well. Normally it is asked. When all the payments, of an annuity are identical, then it is called as uniform annuity. It is called as uniform annuity. Which I had already stated, that fixed sum for fixed period of time. So fixed sum means it's the uniform annuity or identical sum. When all the payments are identical. Identical means it is fixed sum. Already we have to pre-decide that how much money I'm going to save every year. And in the first line, what I have said, at the successive interval. So what do you mean by successive interval? Successive interval can be yearly, it can be half yearly, it can be quarterly, it can be monthly. Fine. Next, third point. This is point number 1, point 2, point 3. Now, whatever I'm writing for today's lecture, at least I can expect 1 or 2 questions from this into my internal assessment. If annuities are paid at the end and each period, at the end of each period, it is known as immediate annuity. Underline the word immediate annuity. Next, if the payments are made at the beginning of each period, it is called as annuity. Fine. Next, I talked about the fixed period, right? Time period also I talked about the fixed, that is for a certain number of years. So with respect to that, if total number of time period, if the total number of time period is fixed, it is known as annuity certain. Annuity certain because I know well in advance that for how many years I am going to make the deposit. Fine. Can I change the page? Or you can just refer to the video afterwards, so that because I have some more points to cover, you can refer to the video and write it down. Fine. Next point, which was point number 6. An annuity, sorry, yes. If the payments are to be made as long as person is alive, जब तक जिंदा है, as long as a person is alive, then it is called as life annuity. I'm sure most of the families invest in LIC's policy, isn't it? Making payments into the LICs. And what is their favorite tagline? जिंदगी के साथ भी, जिंदगी के बाद भी. So how do you say जिंदगी के बाद भी? Life annuity. Because as long as the person is alive, he is making the payments. So, but obvious, he is not going to use that money. Someone else is going to use the money. Right? So this is what the life annuity means. If the payments are to be made as long as the person is alive. Fine. Okay. Next point. So wherever I have underlined, it's all the important points. An annuity with number of payments. Annuity with number of payments depending on happening of an event is a contingent annuity. While an annuity which is supposed to go on perpetually or endlessly is called as or perpetuity, simple. Is it fine? So what we have into syllabus, or basically what are the 2 points on which we are going to focus out of these 7 points? We'll be focusing mainly on annuity certain and we are going to focus on annuity, immediate annuity. So what is annuity certain and what is immediate annuity? Let's come back to the previous part. This is annuity, immediate annuity, fine. And the other point is annuity certain. So basically, this is what we are going to discuss. You can see annuity certain and immediate annuity. Annuity certain and immediate annuity. So these are the two types whose question we are going to solve in the class. Fine. Clear for everyone? Now all the points is basically one question. Each point that I have written over here is basically one question. For example, if I ask you the question in the exams, if the total number of time period is fixed, then it is known as dash. Fine. If the payments are made at the beginning, if the payments are made at the beginning of each time period, then it is called as dash. This is the way you can say whatever I have underlined is basically the question. If the payments are to be made at as long as the person is alive, then it is called as fill in the blanks. So MCQ is basically what? It is fill in the blanks, isn't it? All the MCQ is basically fill in the blanks where the options are given to you. And for our assessment, it will be MCQ, that is 4 options will be given, out of which you have to select. Is it clear, everyone, this part? So this was basically the introduction of what annuity is. So the 2 examples what I had taken, coming back to the second example, now just try to figure it out, the 7 points that I have written. Person invests rupees 6,000. Person invests rupees 6,000. That correlates with the first point. What was the first point? That is, what is the first point? That all the payments are identical. Fine. So it is basically the uniform annuity, isn't it? Okay. Then for 8 years, it means I have decided the number of years also. Isn't it annuity certain? Because, right? And I have not said it is whether it is at the beginning or where it is the payment is getting done at the end. So if the payments are made at the end of each period, then it is called as immediate annuity. So this is what the question is. So whatever question that you will have in your syllabi is basically it is immediate annuity only. Any questions? There is a formula. There is a formula. Basically, this formula, how it is derived, we derive it on the best. We have derived it from the concept of GP, geometric progression, which you might have done in your previous classes, arithmetic progression, geometric progression. So the derivation is not there, but yes, the formula have been derived taking the help of the geometric progression. Right? I'll just try to make you understand one thing more.
Sir, can you show the second slide?
Fine? Okay. Okay. See, I had deposited how much money? 6,000, isn't it? How many times I'm depositing? 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 times. So on this money, I'm going to get interest for how many years? I'll be getting interest for 8 years at 6% per annum CI. This money, 7 years. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Fine. This remains same at 6%. So if I write the formula of this, I'm talking about the compound interest formula. So how many times will I have to write it? Just see this way. So it has to be written as 6,000 bracket 1 plus 0.06, 1.06 to the power 8 plus 6,000, 1 plus 0.06 to the power 7 plus 6,000, 1 plus 0.06 to the power 6 plus dot dot dot. Finally, it's 6,000, 1 plus 0.06 to the power 1. Yeah, this is what it means. It means I have to calculate 8 times. Again, if I have to calculate the question of EMI, then I'll have to calculate 120 times, isn't it? A tough task to do. So how it's basically derived? It's 6,000 I can take common. It's 1 plus 0.06 to the power 8 plus 1 plus 0.06 to the power 7 plus dot dot dot. And on this part, we use the concept of GP, geometric progression, which you don't have. So simply we'll be discussing the formula, fine, in the next class.